So if you're on audio right now, you probably can't tell that I'm in a straitjacket. And I don't mean that emotionally. I don't mean that spiritually. I mean physically, I am wearing a straitjacket because I'm a man of my word. And I make good on my bets. And I do want to say I'm tied for second right now in fantasy.
No, you're third, but that's all right.
Well, it's tied for second. There's two teams that are 5-2. There's two that are 4-3. Which are first. Which are me and you. When me and you are tied for second.
You're winning.
Me and you are tied for second, right?
Well, but I have the most points scored. So
yeah, well, you know, we'll look at that.
You had the most points scored. You were in front.
We'll look at that.
Now all of a sudden we're tied, though.
We'll look at that at the end. But the thing is, I can't get out of the straitjacket. The whole show, they have given me the option to take my arms out after the sub break, which I looked at them and laughed. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it the whole way. But look, I'm a man of my word. All right, we're doing this today. Got the one chip challenge tomorrow. Still feeling great about the fantasy.
So here's what happened. Blaine and I were in charge of getting the straitjacket.
Yes.
Okay. And I know this isn't the prototypical straitjacket that most people think of, but I know how much of a fan you are of dodgeball. Okay?
Huge. Yes.
Peter LaFleur in the average Joe's gymnasium. And we figured, sometimes packages get lost in transit.
That's exactly right. Well, I feel like it's a mix. It's a mix between kind of 50 Shades of Grey and like you said, the wrong uniforms that have, oh my God. And they have things, guys. Guys, come on. They got things to hit me with and touch me with at any point in the whole show. But guess what? I'm not losing focus. Because I decided last night for the rest of the week I will be using Ninja Focus when it comes to things like this. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens take on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers tonight. Tom Luginbill of ESPN is going to join us to break down his college football playoff predictions and comment on my straitjacket. And the Eagles trade for defensive end Robert Quinn. They are all in. I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to Crane & Company. We always say on this show that multiple things can be true at once. And in Auburn's case, it can be true that Bryan Harsin isn't the guy that Auburn needs at the helm, but also that it was the right time to move on from Gus Malzahn. The only reason to relitigate this is since Harsin's debacle, there's been a ton of calls of, well, you shouldn't have fired Malzahn, echoing everywhere, since this Harsin experiment has gone downhill quicker than a luge competition. It also made news recently when former Auburn quarterback Bo Nix said in an interview that it's nice to be in an offense where you can check the play and not just run it regardless of the look. The ability to be more versatile in the passing game and be able to not run good plays into bad looks, rather good plays into good looks. Now, we've heard basically the same thing from multiple Auburn receivers as well. The truth is, the game was evolving and Gus Malzahn was not, which is shocking considering he was an innovator with the hurry-up offense and he even wrote a book on it. He pulled a J.K. Rowling. He also didn't evolve on the recruiting front. While Auburn was signing good classes, they weren't even competing for the spot that matters most, offensive line. And that combination helped seal Gus's fate. Now, some will say Bo Nix is playing better because of being in a weaker conference. Now, while the SEC is better than the Pac-12 in aggregate, Bo Nix is actually staying in the pocket. He isn't putting the ball in harm's way and is actually has an above-average offensive line. Now, Auburn can't worry anymore about Bo Nix or the past. It needs to look to the future. Now, while Auburn fans want a new AD and they want it now, they need to make sure they take the time to hire the right guy as the athletic director, who will then hire the right guy as the head football coach. All right. I'm going to bring in my co-host, David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, former Heisman candidate, and then my brother, who I don't think is going to be able to make it through the show without continuously having outbursts of laughter, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver, and current NFL free agent. Guys,
is there a safe word?
The safe word is pongo. Pongo.
Okay.
Yes, which I think we all know is
Oh, man.
When it comes to Auburn, guys, we've seen this stuff with Harsin and the player. We talked about that at length yesterday with the Landon King situation and telling guys to redshirt. But if you're Auburn, like I said, it can be true that it was time to move on from Malzahn and also that you made the wrong hire with Bryan Harsin. I mean, those two things can both be true at once. And I think sometimes, again, and I think this is a product of the society that we're in, we look at it through a narrow lens of it has to be this. You should have never fired Gus because this Harsin thing would have never happened. You're getting what you deserve. No, if you really go back and look at it, and people say, oh, well, guess what? Gus Malzahn beat Alabama a couple times. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But that's the expectation. You know who he didn't beat? Georgia. You know where he didn't beat Alabama? In recruiting. Couldn't go win at LSU, or LSU really in general. And recruiting was falling off a cliff. And that was when Kirby was starting to gas up Georgia over there. Nick had been balling there, obviously at Alabama. So I think both things can be true at once, David.
So I want to pull up this Bo Nix clip here.
Yeah, this is telling, man.
Now, this is him more calling out Gus Malzahn than Brian Harsin? Or
yeah, for sure calling out Gus Malzahn. Because anybody who's watched Gus Malzahn's offense would always say, man, it looks like we're just running into the brick wall. There doesn't, even on the check with me's, it seemed like they wouldn't check out of anything. But this is Bo Nix telling on Gus Malzahn. And if it was just Bo, David, it would be one thing. But it was Anthony Schwartz, Seth Williams, all types of guys that played wide receiver for Gus Malzahn that said, look, it's a pop-up book offense, man. We're still calling 9 routes a 9 route. We're like, you run the 9, you run the 4, you run the 3. We're running that offense in flag football and intramurals. You've got to be able to adjust the play. And Gus didn't. He thought you could just beat teams with tempo without adjusting the play. You can't do that. So let's run this Bo Nix interview.
This is by far the most. In the past, I haven't really been able to check plays. What's been called, we're running no matter what. And sometimes it shows. And I think that now with flexibility, you can kind of see in our offense, we're never really out-schemed, out-manned. We always got a hat on a hat. And our plays that we run, they're always positive, good plays. We really, one of our goals just in the quarterback room at OC with Coach Dillingham, we don't want to run any bad plays that can be negative.
Okay, so Bo Nix committed to Gus Malzahn out of high school, right, to go play at Auburn. And in that first year, was it Kenny Dillingham who was the OC?
Kenny Dillingham was the OC, but Gus was calling plays.
Gus called all the plays.
Yes,
Okay.
This is actually, I believe, Dillingham's first full-time play-calling situation when Dan brought him over, and obviously it's going well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the stats. I have it here in terms of Bo Nix. Look, passing completion as a freshman, 57%. As a sophomore, 59%. As a junior, 61%. So far this year at Oregon, 71.5%.
That's a huge
You can
jump.
say that you're playing against tougher competition week in and week out in the SEC. That can be true, but also that is a 10-point completion percentage jump right there. He's already at 1,800 yards. The most he threw for at Auburn was his freshman year at 2,500 yards. So he's going to surpass that if he stays healthy. And then touchdown to interception ratio right now is 17-3.
Yeah, it's a totally different Bo Nix, and there are a lot of factors. But again, when you run an offense that has the ability to check, and that's not just saying, all right, hey, look at the sideline, here's where we're going. It's, hey, all right, we can go fast and check. We can slow it down and check. The ability to be able to, like I said, run good plays into looks that are advantageous for you sounds very simple. But you would be surprised, everybody out there, at how many coaches do not adjust and just say run it. Gus Malzahn got away with doing the same thing. And I say got away with, he invented basically the hurry up, no huddle. Like I said, he wrote the book on it, and he was able to beat defenses. Well, guess what defenses always do? They always catch up. So you're always having to evolve. Even you look at Nick Saban changing his mindset, having to evolve, bringing in guys like Lane Kiffin and starting to go up tempo when he complained about it, right? You want to know why he was complaining about it? Because teams were beating him with it. Who was doing it? Gus Malzahn and Hugh Freeze. But defenses always catch up. Gus never adjusted after they caught up. He thought he could get away with it forever, throw a couple trick plays in there every now and then, and keep a simple passing offense. Because Auburn was a run-to-pass team, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean you have a second-grade classroom knowledge on the passing game. Because that's why it seemed like Auburn, every time they got in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, they never had an answer, and it looked like defenses were running routes for the receivers. And basically, that's what Bo Nix is saying. That's really what he's saying. And I don't think it's Bo Nix woke up and chose violence that morning. I think he was just telling the truth. And any Auburn fan that tells the truth and knows what they're looking at, and not the people that just have blind loyalty regardless of how good or how bad it is, which is the worst thing ever. It's like never telling your kid no. They won't admit it, but anybody that knows what they're looking at will admit it. Blaine?
Yeah, Bo really had his hands tied when he was
yeah, here we go. That took, what, 9 minutes?
Oh, when he was
9 minutes.
Really had his hands
Congrats.
tied. But this is great to see. I always thought Bo Nix was kind of held down at Auburn with the offense he was running, with the offensive line he had. Can you please stop sipping out of that straw while I'm trying to do this?
It's the only thing I got, dog.
You're doing a great job, too, by the way. But yeah, I mean, the thing about it, people started figuring out Gus's offense, and he started kind of slowly fading away. Once that happened, and one really being able to adjust, and the best kid can do what? Adjust. They're always a step ahead. So good for Bo Nix. I'm happy to see this from Bo. Bo took a lot of crap at Auburn, especially being a quarterback son like that who was so big at Auburn. So good for Bo Nix, and I'm not surprised by any of this.
I find it interesting. Gus Malzahn, offensive-minded head coach. Brian Harsin, offensive-minded head coach. Now he's playing for Dan Lanning, a defensive-minded head coach, and he's putting up these kind of numbers.
It's amazing. It's amazing, right? But again, a lot of it, we know this, comes down to the OC.
And that's my point.
Yeah, that's exactly.
When you let an OC do their job.
It's amazing, right? When you let somebody do their job, you let them sink or swim. You're the one that hired them. You might as well let them do their job. And also, my eyebrow itches, but I can't scratch it. All right,
for you.
This ought to be interesting. Can you hit that for me? Thanks, man. That doesn't help. That doesn't help. What's the Booster Club saying, Blaine?
Well, obviously they're all laughing at you.
Oh, well, thanks.
With love, though.
Oh, okay.
With love. Let's go to Mike RFF Lifestyle. What's up, Mike? Says, Blaine, feel free to use any of my Jake jokes since mine was used in one of the yesterday's clips. Mike, I don't know any of your Jake jokes. Put them in here, please, because I would love to make fun of Jake, especially on this day. Let's go to Texas Ed. Is Bo Nix talking about the offense being restrictive at Oregon, or is he kind of free-flowing at Oregon?
No, he said, there it is. Okay, yes. Good one.
$1.99 donation from Carson Everett.
Let's get it.
Jake, raise your hand if you think Harsin should go.
I'll raise both hands.
Let's go to Flaming Dragon Ankle says, how's he still speaking like he's not in a weird bondage stuff?
Hey, because I'm a champion. That's why. I'm a full-blooded, red-blooded American champion.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I woke up complaining this morning.
Did you?
I had to wear a Mets jersey.
Oh, that's today, too.
Hero comes in, and immediately I feel better.
I wanted them to wheel me in like Hannibal Lecter. That's what I wanted.
Make that happen.
Yeah.
Slappin said, this needs to be a new segment, maybe once a month instead of once a week, but I'm losing it right now.
Yeah, look, I told you guys, I'm a man of my word. If you're on audio, you need to go to Crane & Company on YouTube right now, and you need to see that I'm making good on my bets. All right, one more, and then we're going to move on.
Quasi Terrible says, but seriously, this isn't cool. Jake needs to give Antonio Brown his jacket back.
Okay, that was a good one.
All right, Cody, what do we got next?
Keys to victory. We got the Ravens 4-3 at the Bucks tonight, 3-4. Bucks are down 4 starters. How's it going to go down?
Well, you know, the Ravens secondary has been beat up too. Tom Brady's lost his last 2 games. You guys know when the last time Tom Brady lost 3 games in a row was?
Never.
2002.
Never.
That's how long it's been. 20 years, 2 decades. But I got a feeling the Ravens are gonna let him remember here. 2002, 2022. That's a lot of 2s. All right, sometimes you got to read the signs and numbers too. Yeah. It's not just animals, especially birds.
Yeah.
You know, this game, if you're looking at a key to victory for the Buccaneers, everybody would talk about Mike Evans dropping that pass. Everybody would talk about Godwin not really blowing it up. Everybody would talk about Cameron Brate being out. And everybody's going to talk about how my upper lip itches right now and I can't scratch it, which is unbelievably frustrating in ways I can't even explain to you. But Leonard Fournette in the run game got to get going. You don't want to have Tom Brady having to drop back and throw the thing 55 times, even though the Ravens secondary is beat up front, they can get after you a little bit. Last week against the Panthers, Leonard Fournette in the running game wasn't even there. It didn't even give him a chance. They were one-dimensional halfway through the first quarter. You add that with the drop pass from Mike Evans that kind of started the game off bad, kept the Panthers in it. Because if the Buccaneers score on that first drive on that first big play, I think they rolled the Panthers. I think that totally changed the game. But it's the run game. You got a really good back in Leonard Fournette, getting him involved. And again, not just in the run game, not just running power and counter and inside zone and outside zone, the split zone and mid zone. It's getting him involved in the passing game, which we know Tom does a really good job of with the checkdowns, because the Bucs cannot live in 2nd and 8 tonight. They can't do it. They can't do it the way they did against the Panthers. This team is hey, let's line it up. Let's get it in 2nd and 6. Let Tom work the middle of the field to get first downs. If the Buccaneers can't run the ball, even though they're at home, even though they're not playing well, I don't think they can win. On the Ravens side, Mark Andrews has been beat up. I think he is the key to this game for the Ravens. I mean, you look around, Duvernay has been playing out of his mind, in my opinion, from the jump, from the first game when he had a couple touchdowns. Rashad Bateman, another guy that's questionable injury-wise, we'll see, even though we do believe Mark Andrews is going to play. But the overall key for the Ravens is Lamar is with this beat-up secondary, you wonder how much zone you're going to get. How much zone you're going to get. Are they going to say, you know what, we're going to try and lock you up and play man, or do they not trust them enough in man and say, all right, we're going to play a ton of zone? Either way, when Lamar Jackson catches them in man, he has got to hurt them on the ground. Because, again, last week looked great. Lamar did in the pocket, outside of the pocket. He has taken too many sacks, in my opinion. But Lamar needs to be able to recognize when they are in man tonight, and he needs to hurt them. What is a great equalizer on the road in a game that the other team must win? Having a quarterback that can scramble on 3rd and 7 and get the first down. They need to demoralize the Buccaneers on defense tonight. If they're short porch because they're hurting the back end and they want to play man, Lamar ought to hurt them bad.
Well, both of these football teams want to run the football first, right?
Yep.
And then put you away with play action. That's what we've seen both of these teams do for so long now. That would behoove the Buccaneers to me, because you want Lamar Jackson to have as few possessions as possible, right, in order to hurt you. But I just haven't seen the Buccaneers be able to run the ball consistently enough to chew that clock down. Now, they are getting Leonard Fournette the ball in the screen game a lot. I think he had one game where he caught 10 passes out.
The over-under on his receptions tonight is 4.5 at like plus 120.
I mean,
that would not be a bad player prop, especially if the run game ain't working.
4.5. It was only a couple of weeks ago. He caught 10 of 10 passes.
Well, come think about it. When the run game's not working, you have to be able to make an adjustment. What's the way to adjust? It's the modified run. We talk about all the time.
And it makes sense because now you're just getting the running back the ball in different ways. And he's most likely still going to stay inbound. He's most likely going to catch a short pass that keeps the clock moving, which chews up the clock, and you get Lamar Jackson fewer possessions. Let's see. Let's see if it happens, because you can't run a screen every play.
Oh, for sure.
Is my point, So get him involved in the ground game, and then I don't know. Tom Brady put the ball in harm's way more last week than I've ever seen. He's got to bounce back from that.
Yeah, I tell you, a team that does the modified run game the best when it comes to, not even just throwing the check down, but having designed not even screens, but quick passes to the run backs. Tennessee. Look at Tennessee. Hell, half of their run game is a screen game out wide. They just look at the numbers. That's it. Are we going to run inside zone? Are we going to run outside zone? Or am I going to spit it out here on the screen because we like the numbers or we like the matchup outside? It's just, I think Tennessee, not the Titans, but actually Josh Heupel in the University of Tennessee has some of the best modified run packages in the country. And that's just something as a defensive guy that you look at and you're like, man, you feel like you take away, one big branch of the offense, yet they find another way to basically do the same thing, which has nothing to do with attacking down the field or the intermediate parts of the defense, and, still kind of kills you on the play action, because you could play action to a running back and then still throw it to him. Yeah. Dan Mullen used to kill people on wheels, play action to the running back, working front side, then going backside. By the way, my earpiece is falling out of my ear, but I'm doing a pretty good job to keep it in there.
Oh, you're doing great right now. One thing I didn't think I'd say, at least for a while, is that if you ever want to get your running game back on track, this Ravens team is who you want to play.
Yeah, that is wild.
They're giving up a 100-yard rush for their 5 out of their 7 games.
Really?
This year, which is so surprising to hear from a Ravens team. I keep sitting here every week waiting on the Bucs to get back on track because they're led by Tom Brady. They're not doing it. And it starts up front. They're beat up front. Their defense has to play a lot better. That was embarrassing against the Panthers. I understand losing the game, but the way you lost that game, you got beat on all 3 phases of football. So the Bucs are favored in this game. I think they're favored for a reason. I think Chris Godwin might have a big day. The Ravens are somewhat beat up on offense a little bit. But they're going to try to force feed Mark Andrews like they always do. Pretty sure Gus Edwards is their starting back. Gus will run hard, but this will be an extremely close game. But I do think there will be surprisingly more points scored in this game, especially after the Bucs' performance last week. I believe they only put up 3 points. Yeah,
well, like you said, the Ravens are porous against the run on defense, and they're beat up in the secondary. The Buccaneers are missing 3/4 of their secondary. Okay, 3/4 of it. It's not like one guy's out. They're missing 3/4. So I looked at that over-under, man. I think it's, at 42? Something like that. And everybody say, oh, well, look at the Bucs offense. They really have been struggling, and they have because they haven't been able to run the ball. But like Blaine said, what's a great cure for not being able to run the ball? Go against a run defense that struggles to stop the run. But when it comes to rushing the passer, it's a little bit different with some of the cats they got running around there. Calais Campbell, Justin Houston, guys like that. So if they do catch the Buccaneers in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, obviously it's a screen alert, especially with Fournette. He sells it as good as anybody. But if they're able to pin their ears back and come get you, they will pin their ears back and come get you. That's probably the strength, in my opinion, on a defense that is surprisingly bad to be led by John Harbaugh.
Justin Houston had a great game Sunday.
He did.
I love to see
him and Calais
back-to-back
Campbell.
sacks.
Did you see Justin Houston get the quarterback to step up in the pocket and then Calais Campbell
Got
swipe the
fumble?
ball out?
I did see it because I thought Justin got the fumble.
That's
fumble
such
at first.
that is professional pass rushing.
I'm telling you, man.
To a T. Professional pass rushing
That guy,
to a T.
amazing.
All right, Blaine.
All right, SBG for Life says, I think there's a culture problem with the Bucs. I don't see that.
I think it's an injury problem. I mean, I really think it is. I mean, look at the preseason. They were one of the teams we were talking about. You're talking about the walking wounded, limping in. And like Blaine said, I think it's a matter of time before Tom turns it around. But then I think to myself, it's kind of interesting that in a year we're watching, and guys, because if you look at Tom Brady, he's got 1,900 passing yards. You know, it's not like Tom Brady's out here not throwing it or people aren't catching it or the pass game isn't very good. They struggle to protect and they struggle to run the ball. And I don't care if you're Tom Brady, I don't care if you're Lamar Jackson, I don't care if you're Elvis Presley or Bigfoot, you're not going to be able to move the ball if you can't run the ball and the offensive line can't pass protect. It's that simple.
Yeah, not a lot of wiggle room. Not a lot of wiggle.
Not a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot.
You know that feeling.
Not a lot. I know it right now.
Yeah, that's funny. We kind of talked about this earlier, but Cody Nason says this looks like the uniforms that average shows accidentally received in dodgeball.
Yeah,
There
they
you go.
won. And what happened? They won.
You can't
So-
play with that, though.
I could play with it.
How would you play with that?
I'd find a way.
Feet?
Yeah.
Feet guy?
Look.
This is what they need to wear at the soccer camp.
Dude, I was just about to say that. You know what I'm doing? I'm leading the way. I'm
For
leading
what?
the way. For
the
when
soccer
the U.S.
what?
government, for when the U.S. government
Okay.
and parents of soccer phenoms around the country unite with us for my plan. Like I said, where we take a group of 17 to 20, 4 to 6-year-olds with their parents' permission after a tryout all across the country. We take them to a little town in Italy, all right, and we tie their hands behind their back, and for 6 years, they just have to use their feet for everything, including soccer. We drill them every day. Math? No. You want to know what math you need to know? Do we got enough players on the field, on the pitch? That's what you need to know. Science? You don't need to know that. The only science you need to know is, if I shoot it from here, how do I have to angle it to go in there? That's what you need to know. And we only need to win it once, right? We win the World Cup once, I'm shutting it down. I just want to prove to you guys that my plan would work. You guys believe, but I got to lead the way. You got to practice what you preach. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Bend it like Jakey.
Yeah. Bend it and wreck them. Why are you looking at me?
You have a choker on.
No, I don't have a choker.
Yeah, you do. That's a
No, I
choker
don't.
on your neck.
That's a belt on the
I'll tell
top
you
of the
what,
collar.
man. If there was ever a week for my fantasy
Look,
football team to show up,
There's a lot of things I thought I'd see in my life, but you in a straitjacket at 6:50 in the morning is not one of them.
Well, I feel like they're about to send me to Shutter Island. It's black, so I feel like I'm going to Azkaban. I feel like Grindelwald right now.
Yeah, I feel like just Everett, $4.99 donation says Jake's Halloween costume this year is Kate Beckinsale in a compromised position.
Knew the 50 Shades of Grey joke were coming. Knew they were coming. Just bring them all in. Bring them all in. I'm ready for it.
Charles Moore says, is Jake going to watch football like this tonight? If so, Reed would take advantage and put on museum tours.
Is that a Van Gogh reference? You love to see it. Remember, painting is just a photograph you draw. One more.
Mike RFF Lifestyle, hold on. I'm having to try to read these before I say them because I don't know what's
There's no telling.
Jake, would you handle the Bears management? How would you handle the Bears management since they just lost their very small chance of reaching the playoffs?
How would I handle the Bears
Management.
I mean, why would we say they missed their very small chance to reach the playoffs?
They traded Robert Quinn.
I don't think that means the Bears totally lost their chance to miss the playoffs. The way they're going to miss the playoffs is if Justin Fields doesn't keep getting through progression. Just shoot something.
Yes, no way.
I understand that Bears fans are pissed off. And in my opinion, you got fleeced. 4th round pick? Isn't that what you gave up? 4th round pick for Robert Quinn? Look, I know Robert Quinn's been in the league a little while, but that dude is hell off the edge. And I got to keep my head on a swivel with the guy from Jungle to Jungle over here. But I still think the Bears defense is good enough. It's good enough to be able to still produce at a very high level. Now, like I said, losing Robert Quinn does hurt. All right, I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, but I do. That was my point. Justin Fields, to me, and I know they got 3 interceptions and took advantage of Zappy and Mack early, even though that first ball that Mack threw hit that wire. Did y'all see that?
I did see that.
Man, the wire can't be in the way of the ball.
Can't be in the way.
They've got to do something.
Love the sky cam, though.
Yeah, I love the sky cam. Like, we've got to find a way. It's 2022. Look, Elon just bought Twitter. Let's figure it out.
Take that interception off his record.
I feel like you should, too. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's again, that'd be like if a bird flew by or something like that. But Justin Fields, to me, did show improvement. And you heard them talking about during the game, Mike, about how the players are all behind him. They believe in him. But Justin Fields is like, listen, I'm glad everybody believes in me, but I got to start playing better. I like to hear a quarterback say that. And still, when Justin Fields runs, I will continue to say this. Josh Allen is probably the most physical runner at a quarterback position. Justin Fields has got to be the second in the NFL. You talk about going downhill. Go look at that first touchdown he scored. He ran through 2 guys. Justin Fields is not a little guy either. He isn't like Lamar is tall, but he's kind of thinner framed, right? He's a little bit lankier. Justin is got some beef to him, like not, and it's a muscle. So I think Justin Fields, that the upside is really there if he can just continue to progress as a passer and do the things within the pocket that he needs to do, including escaping within the pocket. You don't have to just bail left or right every time. I do think he's learning that. So Mike, I know you're upset. I know it feels like you're saying, oh, well, we've given up on the season, our small chance. I think that small chance is just there. It just may be a little bit smaller.
All right, let's go to J-Mac Volunteer.
We better have $500 worth of donations here, me wearing this thing. I'm sweating like a worked mule.
Is it hot in there?
Here.
How is it? You feel claustrophobic?
Is it hot in here? It's black leather. It feels like I'm on fire inside.
All right, J-Mac Volunteer, how many uniform options is too much for a program? Some programs only have 2 classic jerseys, like Bama, while others have infinite options, like Oregon. Trying to feel good about the dark University of Tennessee unis, which look fire.
My thing, as long as they're dope, like I'm fine with however many you have. If you have 30 and all 30 of them are clean, I love it. Knock yourself out. If you got 2 of them, or you're traditional and you only wear one style of helmet and it's clean, do you? You know, one size fits all. You know, kind of the straightjacket.
I kind of like that point because a lot of the ones Oregon has worn, I haven't liked. That's been one of the problems. I do feel like you need a baseline, though, right? Don't you need like a standard so that
everybody has that, right? Everybody has like a.
I don't know what Oregon's standard jersey is anymore. I really don't.
I
mean, I know
Oregon
what
fans in the chat,
is.
tell us what you would consider, because I think it may change between people on what Oregon's baseline
I know what
is.
Tennessee's baseline is. So when Tennessee comes out in all blacks, I'm like, man, that's different. Or when they come out in the charcoal, or they even did light gray this year.
The smoke gray.
The smoke gray. The smoke gray. I'm like, okay, well, that's a change up. That's different. That's cool. And they've all been really nice. So.
They have. Tennessee does not miss when it comes to uniforms. Oregon takes more chances than anybody. I think that's why they've kind of missed. The neon green, yellow, whatever mix you want to call the lemon limes
bold.
they're bold, but they've grown on me a little bit.
Okay.
You know, it's grown on me a little bit, but the gloves for Oregon.
I did like they incorporated
really
the
sick.
pink for breast cancer awareness.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I first saw it, I'm like, I was like, man, they got pink on today, and then it all started to make sense, and I'm like, okay, can't criticize that.
That's exactly right. All right, Coney, what do we got next?
All right, college football power rankings. Let's pull up our top 10. Let's break it down, boys.
All right, so we got Tom Luginbill coming on here in a minute, but we have our college football power rankings. And I'm going to tell you, these are right, okay? I don't come on. Typically, I say, you know what, look, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. We can all agree to disagree. It moves us forward. This one's right, all right? We looked this thing up and down. I mean, we pulled a Gal Gadot. We checked it from head to toe. All right, Georgia's number 1. I think we can agree on that right now. Some people will say Ohio State, but I just feel like, Cone, Georgia's number 1 right now. And from your theory, they're still the reigning national champion and undefeated. So you're the champ until you're not, right?
Champ until you're not. Usually I do that in preseason. I mean, throughout the season we can do, but champ until you're not. I think it's a coin flip between the two right now. I have no problem putting Georgia at number 1.
Yeah.
I have Tennessee at number 1.
You have Tennessee at number 1.
Yeah. I just think, I mean, the thing about Georgia is I think Georgia is more of a balanced football team than both the teams behind them. I mean, I think Michigan's more balanced than even Tennessee is. But like we've said, if you're gonna score 52 points, who cares how balanced you are if you're gonna score more points than the opponent?
Yeah.
I do understand that. I just worry sometimes that maybe a Tennessee or even the Buckeyes may run into trouble in the playoffs if the offense isn't working, right? Whereas I think Georgia has proven that they can win in multiple ways.
Well, people will say, oh, well, Tennessee can't be number one because they go play at Georgia here in a couple weeks or next week, and they're going to lose that game. You can't look at these power rankings like that. You can't look and say, all right, well, Tennessee plays Georgia here in 2 weeks, so we're not going to put them number one. It is a snapshot in time when it comes to power rankings. So we have Georgia number one, Ohio State number two, Tennessee number three, Michigan number four, Clemson number five, TCU number six. Right now, neutral field, Cone, who wins, TCU or Clemson?
Right this.
It's a little tougher than what you'd think.
I mean, Clemson's been finding a way to win football games, but right this second, man, I might say CCU.
I know.
TCU. The one I was going to ask was neutral site right this second, TCU or Alabama, because I do think that it is right this second to put, to put an undefeated TCU above this slot on a one-loss Alabama team. I think the AP had these switched. This was one that we flopped. I like Tennessee in the sixth spot here, but that doesn't mean that I'm saying they would necessarily beat Alabama on a neutral site right now. I think the Crimson Tide may very well win that football game, but to me, it's very difficult to make your power rankings in your top 10 list by saying, here's what I personally think would happen in the future, right?
Yes.
Don't we at least have to go off of what's happened already?
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with that. I think Clemson and TCU would be a hell of a game and come down to DJU. Are you going to continue like last week to regress a little bit, or was that just a little bit of a hiccup? Oh, I just had a little deja vu. Now I'm back to my normal self. Can't turn the ball over against quality teams. So TCU 6, Alabama 7, Oregon is 8, Oklahoma State is 9, and UCLA is number 10. Blaine, when it comes to these power rankings, now this is a collective between all three of us, but we just want to sit here and agree with each other. Where do you think, if we were going to change something, that you would change something?
Other than Tennessee being one? See, this is tough. I think Alabama's the fifth or fourth best team in the nation, but they do have that one loss at Tennessee.
Can we talk about this for a second, though? Can we? Here's my thing with Alabama. We know they have very talented players and a great coaching staff. We know Bryce Young is a witch of the highest order. But Alabama is losing games in ways they don't typically lose. Like, I come on this show and say, if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. We saw this at Texas. We've seen them get penalized a ton this year. Just look at the numbers. It's not just the close games they've played. They have been routinely penalized. I'm wondering how that's going to stop, because, look, you're going to get physical penalties, right? You're going to get holdings. You're going to get face masks. You may get a roughing the passer that's kind of BS, but it's the procedural stuff. It's the special team stuff. Alabama is beating themselves. And I can go down this whole list from Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan, Clemson, TCU, Oregon, Oklahoma State, and UCLA. And if you go get yourself penalized 15 times, you sure as hell can lose a game to any one of those teams quicker than a hiccup.
Well, I don't think if there's any team that's going to fix that, you would think it'd be Nick.
But don't you think, we're in week 9.
Yeah, I understand that. You've been playing this bad, and your only loss is on the road in the biggest game Tennessee's ever played in by a field goal. So, they're playing this bad and lost by a field goal against the number 3 team in the nation. If Bryce Young's your quarterback, best player in the country, hands down. If they can somewhat figure out penalties, which I think they do, I think they're a young team, a bunch of new guys are in there, so it's going to be different. You can see this is kind of what the transfer portal is. New guys come in, it doesn't always work out, it does take time. But if Bama figures out not to be penalized, which I think they will do sooner or later, I think Nick Saban's one of the best at doing it, they are a top 4 or 5 team in the nation. Yeah,
and again, I don't think that's a bad argument. If Alabama figures it out, of course they're a top 4 or 5 team in the country. My thing is, we always say, oh, well, look, they still played, and I even said this, they played horrible at Texas and still won. All right, we can't just look at the one loss and say, oh, well, they played bad. They beat a terrible Texas A&M team at home by 4. One of the worst Texas A&M teams that we've seen, with a whole offseason of trash talk. Okay, you've had other games, if you look, outside of really Mississippi State and a couple, where they have struggled to play and look like Alabama. The Arkansas game, I give them the benefit that you had to put your backup quarterback in. I get that. But let's not forget Texas A&M. Let's not forget some of these games where Alabama has not looked like Alabama early against La Monroe. There has been games that Alabama has shown you this may not be a symptom. This may actually be a disease on this team.
I think if you spoke to most Alabama fans, and the ones I've talked to over the course of the last 2 weeks would agree with both of you. One, they'd say, this isn't a one-game problem. It's not like we've been playing phenomenal football and then went on the road and lost to a tough Tennessee team by 3. Every single week, we've been left wanting in many senses. Like the Texas A&M game, we did not play well enough. This is what every Alabama fan I'm talking to is saying. It's not good enough. At the same time, they'll flip that and say, but I do think we're a top 4 team, and I think that we could still beat anyone in the country. And I don't necessarily think they're wrong.
No.
Put them up against them, and they could win a football game.
I think there's good arguments.
Lost to A&M last year.
I know. We saw this last year.
I mean, A&M plays them tough.
Yeah, but that A&M team last year would beat the crap
But they
out
were
of the
still
A&M
struggling.
team.
They were still.
You don't think that
last year.
A&M team last year would beat this team?
Was Zach Calzada at quarterback? Was Max Johnson at quarterback or
compared
Hans
to-
King?
No.
Because when Bama played A&M, it was Max Johnson, correct?
No, when Bama played A&M, it was Zach
Haynes?
Calzada. Max Johnson was at LSU.
I'm talking about this year.
Oh, this season?
Yeah.
No, it was Haynes King. Max Johnson broke his hand.
That's right.
Okay.
They played against Haynes
I don't
King.
think they'd kill him.
Or did Max Johnson start that?
No, I don't think Max Johnson started that
Haynes
game. No.
King threw the last pass of the game at the goal.
Haynes
I know
King
that.
started that game and went all the way through. I know I'm not losing my mind on this. I know I can't move my arms and I'm in a straitjacket out of some sort of weird French movie, but like I get it. Like I really believe Haynes King played that whole game. All right, Blaine.
What?
What do you think?
Yeah, Haynes King did play that whole game.
Okay, yeah.
So 46 pass attempts. They had A-Chain. I mean, but you go back and look at the same Alabama team last year. I know they're not getting him out as penalties. I mean, beat LSU by 6, beat a terrible Auburn team in double overtime. So you're going to have wins like
Well, you know
this
the
in
Iron Bowl.
SEC.
You know the Iron.
You're
You
gonna have
know
wins
better
like
than
this
that.
in SEC.
You know
I mean,
better
you
than
just,
that.
You just have to win these games, and that's what Alabama
No,
does.
you do.
Other than Tennessee, that you lost on the road, I mean, you're not playing great. You're getting penalized, but still winning. So Bama's going to figure out. We saw them play phenomenal against Mississippi State. I know we say, well, it's Mississippi State. They always match up against. Well, that's a tough offense to stop.
So how about on the road at LSU and on the road at Ole Miss? Do they go 2-0?
Yes.
That's our bet. That's
Alabama's going to win the
That's
West.
our $100 bet.
And you're saying they'll win.
I'm saying they'll lose one of those two. They will lose another regular season game. They'll lose another regular season game. Again, there is no such thing as an ugly win or a pretty loss in my eyes. You play to win the game, obviously, like Herm Edwards said, and Alabama has won these games. But the way they're playing, the way that they lost, and the way that they're playing is they are beating themselves. In the past, Zach Calzada and that A&M team played out of their mind last year. They played way over their head. Think about it. That Auburn team played way over their head on the defensive line. How many sacks? They had 7 sacks against Bryce Young. We're pressuring him the whole night, but the Iron Bowl is an outlier. It's an anomaly. You can't use that in the normal line of thinking when you look at regular season games. It's just not like that. It's one of the few that's not like that. But when you go back and look at the times where Alabama has gotten beat, not played bad and won, but gotten beat, what has it typically been? The other team just played out of their mind because Alabama gets everybody's best shot. That's just it. The heavy is the crown. It's the truth. But in the past, when Alabama has lost, they have gotten physically beaten. Physically beaten. And that's not saying that they played their best game, talking about Alabama and lost, but they got physically beaten by the other team. This year, not only when they lost, but when they have struggled, they are mentally beating themselves. Those are two totally different things, and it's very interesting seeing an Alabama team do that.
And that is more fixable in the middle of the season.
It is more flexible.
Now, look, Alabama may continue to be the most penalized team in the SEC moving forward throughout the rest of the season, but at least you can say not having the best players is not fixable in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
You don't have the best players. You can't just fix that. Fixing
Not God.
penalties is something that Nick Saban can do and has done in the past. Now he just has to do it.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's been 9 weeks since we've really seen anything. But what else, Mike?
I think that Mississippi State game was a big bounce back.
I think they
I
need
know
that.
they match up well against Mississippi State always, but setting that tone, what were they, up 30 at the end of the game?
Secondary
with 20
needed
seconds
that.
left?
The secondary needed that a lot.
Let's go to Malcolm Martin, $4.99 donation. What's up, Malk? Says, of your top 10, who could you confidently say would beat Bama on a neutral field? Let's go ahead and, I guess we can keep Tennessee in that.
I think a lot of these teams could beat Alabama on a neutral field if Alabama continues to play bad. If you're saying if both teams play well, if that's the marker that we're going to use, I think that's a better conversation. But if Alabama continues to play like this and continues to penalize themselves and continues to do things that are out of character, like what they did on special teams against Tennessee, or maybe what they did on special teams against Arkansas, where they snapped it off the up back of the punter. They're just doing stuff you don't see Alabama do. And Alabama fans will tell you that. But Nick Saban finds a way to win. Alabama could beat every team in that top 10 if they played well. They could beat every single team in that top 10 if they played well. All right, but they haven't showed us they can consistently play well, especially in what? Big games. So we'll see.
Well, they've already lost to Tennessee, right?
Yep.
In a shootout fashion, and the team that would come closest to that is the Buckeyes.
Yep.
You know, and I think they even may have a better defense than Tennessee did.
Ohio State has some cats running around.
I know. So that, to me, would be very interesting because I think they could beat Alabama the same way Tennessee did. Georgia would beat Alabama in a very different way, right? Kind of more in line with what we saw last year and in the national championship. Michigan, to me, Michigan and Clemson both would be interesting just because, Michigan would want to run the football, and I'd need to see proof that they could do that consistently for the entire game on Alabama.
I think they could.
I think they could, too. That, again, talking about Lamar Jackson limiting possessions, that would limit Bryce Young's possessions. But if they score every time they get the football, can Michigan match that? That would be my question.
Yeah, I would be more worried about the Michigan secondary against Alabama's, even though the receivers aren't normally what they've been for Alabama. I just think, not saying Michigan's defense is bad, I think they played pretty decently well with the schedule they have, but I think that's the game where you miss Dax Hill.
You would miss Dax Hill. Now, I know that Michigan's front four could get pressure on Bryce Young, but here's the thing. If you get pressure and you miss, because he's so elusive, he's going to crush you. How did they beat Texas at the last second? They got pressure.
Yeah.
They came from boundary pressure with the corner.
He pulled a sunshine from
He pulls a sunshine. He pulls sunshine from Remember the Titans. That's exactly right. Goes underneath, hits the pass down the sideline. They end up hitting the game-winning field goal. If you get pressure on Bryce Young and you miss, he's going to eat you alive.
And see, that's the hardest part about Bryce. So then your answer is, you know what? We're going to rush three.
No,
that's
worse.
Not, we'll rush
Even
three.
worse.
He'll kill you that
State
way
just
too.
did it.
I know.
Mississippi State just
You're
did
damned
it.
if you do and damned if you don't. I mean, you want to know how you beat Bryce Young? You give him food poisoning. That's about it.
Let's go to JT Bryan. Says anybody watching this show for the first time is probably calling the cops about a hostage situation.
Yeah. No, everything's totally fine. Everything's totally fine. I'm blinking multiple times.
Let's go to Mike RFF Lifestyle. Hashtag Ask Crane and Company.
That was right in the temple cone. That could have killed me.
Is Justin Herbert good enough to shine even with all these injuries? Justin Herbert's playing extremely mediocre.
Yeah, well, Justin Herbert's also had problems with his ribs because it seems like everybody on the Chargers is hurt. I mean, again, if you go back and watch the game where Justin Herbert actually got hurt, he was getting drilled during the whole game. And he's one of those guys, he's got like a long torso. So there's like a lot of surface area to hit, and it's not a penalty. That's the one thing, it's kind of better to be a quarterback like Bryce Young with a small strike zone. If you got trying to hit Bryce Young's like trying to pitch to Jose Altuve. That strike zone gets a lot smaller and lower to the ground. Herbert's got a little bit more surface area. But no, look, it's the NFL, man. I mean, Justin Herbert, huge upside. I love the kid's potential. He's a warrior. You are getting Keenan Allen back, but now you lose Mike Williams. It's like you get one back and you lose another. Obviously, Austin Eckler's a nice weapon, but you also lost Rashawn Slater, your starting tackle, your blindside protector. So if you're Justin Herbert, it seems like every time you get somebody back, you lose somebody. Is he playing great? No. But I think a lot, they don't have any stability right now. It's tough to build rhythm and build chemistry when you have no stability, and that's what you're seeing with the Chargers.
Let's go to Slap My Bass, 3825. What's up? I slap out of my bass. He says, good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
Someone want to explain this straitjacket to me, Jake? Feel free.
Yeah, so we're doing the fantasy bet stuff with Daily Wire, which, I'm tied for second in the league. But I did lose to Cone, and our bet was the loser has to wear a straitjacket during the show. So here I am, bro.
You're welcome.
Straitjacket.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was your idea?
It was.
It was your idea.
Good. Now I know whose tires I'm going to flatten. Anyways.
Not the car.
Tires you're gonna
Not the car.
Oh, yeah, the car's a sore
I've been through
subject.
enough with the car. Right? Take my leg.
Rumor has it your
Take my eyes, not the car.
Rumor has it your parking jobs haven't been great lately either. That's the word.
Wow.
What's wrong with your parking
Who's
job?
talking about that?
We'll talk about it
Who's
later.
talking about that?
There's a couple of people. Not the person you think. Not the person you think.
Are you
I know who it is.
Are you a pig parker?
Yeah.
You park over the line?
Does his
You take
name
up
start
two-
with an M?
No. It's not a him.
Oh.
No.
Oh,
You'll
then
find out.
Then I don't care.
You'll find out.
Let's go to Mr. John Gormley. What's up, Mr. John? He says, watching from Ireland.
Yes.
Yeah.
This isn't normal.
Yes, it is. It's actually going to be an every week thing.
It is Thursday.
I started watching college football for the first time properly this year. The Tennessee-Alabama game was the most incredible things I have ever seen.
Isn't it nuts? Let me ask you something. You said John, right?
Mr. John Gormley.
Mr. John, my bad. Number one, shout out over there. We've got a little Irish in our blood, too. We appreciate you checking us out. I'm a firm believer and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but if we brought college football or NFL, and I know they're playing overseas, to Europe, within 10 years, y'all'd like it more than soccer. I'm telling you, I think you really would. I think you guys really would. I know that sounds crazy, and you're like, well, they did NFL Europe. And no. I'm talking about doing it right. I'm talking about doing it right, getting the passion, the resources, the facilities. I know it's not a great time right now globally when it comes to money for multiple reasons, but I think 10 years in.
So what's the plan now? You already have the soccer plan.
I'm not talking about this one. This is one of my turn into Bezos moments.
You're keeping this one close to the straitjacket?
I'm keeping this one
Close to the choker? Keep it close to the choker? Yeah.
No, guys, look.
You should have to eat the chip with this on.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think you should.
No.
Why not?
Why would I do that?
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, how are you not going to do that? What are you going to get out of that?
I could flex and bust out of this in any moment.
Do the Michael Scott.
Yeah, good. I could flex and bust out of this in any moment.
DCY says, has Bama ever missed the playoffs?
1 year, right?
I think it was 1 year.
1 year. I think they missed it 1 year. Oh, man. Y'all ready for this? I think they missed it 1 year. We're going to look that up. We'll get our science and research team on it. All right. Let's bring in Tom Luginbill, ESPN. Hey, Tom, what's up?
What's up with you?
Oh, you know, Tom.
Well, Tom, there's a convention. No, I'm just kidding. So we're doing the fantasy football stuff here at the Daily Wire, and we make side bets. All right, we make side bets, and my bet with Cone during our fantasy week was the loser has to wear a straitjacket during the show. So I'm making good on my bets, man. But I thought I was going to get like a white straitjacket, like Shutter Island, but they got me one like from one of those weird movies they used to show in the theaters, like late at night, where only the weirdos went and saw it.
50 Shades like American Horror Story right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait till you see what happens later.
Can you lift your arms up?
This is as far as I can go, Tom.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me give you a full. Here we go. Right here.
He's got the choker on and everything, Tom.
Look right here.
Huh? Dude, stop.
It's the average Joe's uniforms.
You guys have seen Pulp Fiction. You should have a red ball.
Oh, no, yeah. Wait, no. That
anybody
got
who wants to know what happened to the Gimp after the movie, he changed his name to Jake and started a sports show.
A good one, David.
By the way, and you guys have been involved in broadcast media, radio, podcast, television. I don't know about you, but like I'm a hand talker, right? I use my hands a lot, like the whole 9 yards. You got to be dying right now.
Oh,
Jake.
you know me, Tom. I'm basically doing sign language up here. I'm calling in plays like Lincoln Riley up here.
I'm very impressed. He's done a good job so far.
I'm using Ninja Focus. It's something that I've worked on my whole life.
You took baby aspirin?
Huh?
Slow your heart rate?
Ninja Focus.
No, I'm using Ninja Focus. Like, look, I don't even see this. I don't even see this
you can't.
Right now.
Don't act.
I'm like the Daredevil superhero. I'm just seeing things in like waves of sound. But
hey,
Tom,
by the way,
go ahead.
Real quick. I got a comment on your bracket that you sent out earlier in the week, and I saw it and I was like, oh, they put Syracuse in there. They're going to get crushed for this. Like, you can't explain your way out of that one, right?
No, you're talking about putting Syracuse in there? I mean, when you look at the other ones, I mean, let's look at Syracuse versus Wake. Both in the ACC. Yeah. One lost to Clemson at home. The other one lost on the road. Let's look at USC, putting them in there. Okay, what's your best loss? Utah, all right, which we know Utah. They're kind of putting it back together. We'll see against Washington State. But I don't think you put USC in there. The one I think people had the most problem with was us putting Ole Miss in there after the loss against LSU. I think there's a much better argument for putting Wake in maybe over Ole Miss since that loss was at LSU in the way that it was. We got more on that. More people were upset that we put Clemson and Syracuse playing each other as opposed to on other sides of the bracket. But we just did our top 12 because we know the rule, Tom, is the top 4 seeds, which I don't like this rule. The top 4 seeds in this new 12-team playoff are going to be the top 4 highest-rated conference champions. So you could have a conference champion that loses 3 games, and you could have a team like Tennessee this year that maybe just loses at Georgia but doesn't make the SEC championship, and somehow that team would jump Tennessee and get a bye, which I don't like that rule.
I don't like that rule either, but under those rules, if they go with what they've proposed, Tennessee would get a home game.
That is true, and we talked about that yesterday as well. What do you think? Let me ask you about this, Tom. Let me ask you about this. I led the show yesterday with saying there should be no neutral site games in college football except the postseason. What do you think about that?
Except for the post, so none of like the kickoff classic things.
No, I don't know why we do that. The whole point of college football is you get to play it on the campus in some of these smaller hometowns or cities, and the atmosphere is nuts. I understand people saying, you know what? I get Florida fans want to keep it in Jacksonville. Hell, if I was a Florida fan, I'd want to play them in Jacksonville every year. The only thing I'm kind of going back on, and I had a fan reach out, and this was a good point. He was like, the thing about the Red River Shootout, let me say that again, Red River Shootout, is that you have the carnival or the fair there or whatever that is a huge part of it. That's the only part to me that maybe that could be an outlier, but there's an outlier in everything. Hell, just look at the polls.
Right. Well, listen, if it's about making money and revenue, which everything about this sport is.
That's the deal, yep.
That's why we do it. I think maybe a happy medium somewhere in there is if you do it, don't allow a team to play in one of those games that would be within their own state.
I'm with that too. So, I agree with that.
Yeah, like so before, remember when we had Michigan and Alabama played in Dallas?
Yep.
Great.
Yes.
All right, terrific. I think those things work out just fine.
Yeah, but Georgia playing Oregon and Atlanta, LSU, even though they lost, playing FSU in New Orleans. Like, let's look each other in the eyes and be honest for a second.
Yeah, that's a home game.
That's a home game. I don't care about the ticket allotment. Let's walk outside. But Tom, you know, we put our power rankings up there, but I do want to start kind of with some landscape stuff here. And I'm not talking about my front or backyard.
Shrubs.
Shrubs. What are your thoughts on daffodils this time of year? No, but when you look at Michigan State playing Michigan, all right, I've talked about this all week. Do we think maybe, and I like Mel Tucker, you look at the way he's recruiting, he can recruit the Southeast, he understands how to build a team with who he's coached under. But do you think maybe Michigan State may have jumped the gun a little bit with that contract because it may have been a little more Kenneth Walker, who's balling right now for the Seahawks, as opposed to just Mel Tucker going in there and being some sort of genius? Because this Michigan State team looks a whole hell of a lot like the Michigan State team from last year, minus one guy, Kenneth Walker. What say you, Tom?
And minus a lot of wins.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the bottom line. Did they jump the gun? Hell yes, they jumped the gun. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. What are these administrators doing? What are these ADs and presidents
They're scared,
doing?
Tom. They fall for the happy trap. That's what they fall for.
It's unbelievable. Do you know how many good football coaches there are out there? If you lost him, you're telling me you can't go get a good football coach. You're telling me you're Michigan State and Mel Tucker decides to go take another job. You're telling me you can't go get Lance Leipold?
Yeah.
Right? You're telling me you can't go get a good football coach? Quit being so, I guess you could say, handcuffed by the agent of the coach and by the coach himself. Listen what they did last year, and I had them twice. They flat out overachieved. They hit the transfer portal lottery. They brought in like 12 guys, and every one of them played for them. Like every one of them was an upgrade. You mentioned the most important one in Kenneth Walker. The rest of that roster was pretty average. Yeah. I mean, this was not a great – I mean, I had them – one of the times I had them, they were the number 2 ranked team in the country, God knows how. They go to Purdue. Purdue can't run the ball a lick, and Purdue still beats them.
Yeah.
And it's you're sitting there looking at this team going, okay, they're having a good year. Good for Mel Tucker and the staff. They hit right on the transfer portal. But it's not as if all of a sudden you waved a magic wand and this is a team that lines up against Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson and starts kicking ass.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
No. And I mean, Peyton Thorne, we've seen him regress too. I mean, obviously having
He's
Kenneth
just
Walker.
a guy.
I'm sorry, he's just a guy. He is just a guy.
That's a guy.
That's exactly right, which I think Michigan and Cone, I'm not trying to jinx Michigan or anything like this, buddy.
Don't you
I know you're not going to say. I think Michigan may beat them to the moon this weekend but for two reasons. Tom. One, Michigan has a way better team. And did you know when Drake drops a new album that on a weekend, Michigan State is 10-0. This weekend, he was supposed to drop his new album. Got pushed to next weekend.
Thank you.
It's a murder in disguise. I want to go to the SEC real quick, Tom, as well. Kind of a sneaky game here, Kentucky at Tennessee. And you say, Jake, there's no way Kentucky can score as many points as Tennessee with their offense, especially without Wan'Dale Robinson, which nobody talked about Wan'Dale Robinson not being at Kentucky this year. All they talked about how great Will Levis was. Go look at the New York Giants. You want to know how good Wan'Dale Robinson is? He's an Ewok that's out. He's 5'2" out there running around balling in the NFL. He fixed a lot of things for Will Levis, who is a good player. But I go ahead and tell you, Will, you're not Josh Allen. So stop acting like your game and his is exactly the same. You're not. Nobody's Josh Allen right now. He's an absolute monster. We'll see. I love Chris Rodriguez. I think he's going to be a sneaky good back
Very good
in
back.
the NFL.
Very good back.
But when it comes down to it, he's a bowling ball full of knives. But if you're Tennessee, all right, you're coming off the huge emotional win against Alabama. You play, little sister in UT Martin last week. And then you got Kentucky coming in town, but going to Georgia next week, right? That's all they're hearing. This team can beat Georgia. Georgia's not what they were last year. Greatest offense we've ever seen. 50 points. Hendon Hooker's the most dangerous hooker since Eileen Warnos. It just, at some point, do you see this game maybe as a trap game a little bit? And Kentucky, I feel like, is sneaky enough that if you do overlook them and you don't respect them, can make it a little closer than what people think.
Yeah.
I could not agree more. It has all the makings of trap game because this is what we don't know about Tennessee. How are they going to handle everybody talking so good about them? How are they going to handle being patted on the back, all of the expectations, everybody telling them how good they are, and the Georgia game coming right off the top of the Kentucky game? And I'll say this, should any of us be discounting a Mark Stoops coach football team?
No.
With what he's done during his tenure there, he will have his guys ready to play. Now, are they built to get in the track meet? Probably not. And I would pose a question to you guys. From a collegiate perspective, who is Will Levis closer to? Josh Allen or Jake Locker?
Oh, I think Jake Locker is a pretty daggum good comp when you come down to it. That's a good comp there. I like that. Wait, yeah, Jake Locker and by miles.
Yeah, right. And so, if you're gonna be in this game, you're gonna win this game. I think you're going to need Tennessee to make some mistakes on offense that result in turnovers or negative plays that put them out of sync and off platform. So if they're dictating terms, which is where Tennessee gets really good, they're going to go up and down the field on you. And Kentucky's not built that way. So what does Kentucky have to do? They can't make errors under center. They got to run the football and limit possessions. And they'll be able to line up, I think, and get after Tennessee because right now, think about this. Kentucky comes into this game with everything to gain, nothing to lose. Everybody's just sprinkling fairy dust all over Tennessee. Nobody's talking about Kentucky. That's how Kentucky's program was born.
Yep.
That's how Mark Stoops created this animal in Lexington, Kentucky. There is no reason why they shouldn't take the same approach this week.
Yeah, and Cone, real quick before we get to you, I know you got some good questions for Tom. I think sometimes, and I want fans to realize this, trap games aren't just for the players. There are trap games for coaches as well. And you say, Jake, what do you mean by that? The coaches are always there motivating, telling them, hey, we can't let this be a trap game. From a play calling and game planning standpoint, do you sit there as a Tennessee staff and say, you know what? We want to save as many wrinkles as we can for Georgia. We're going to need him to be able to score points. We can go out there and beat Kentucky with our base stuff.
Base play.
We'll have a reverse, but we will run the same stuff when we bring up the self-scout like we did in week 4, week 5. Yeah, and we can run our base stuff at Kentucky. We'll outscore them. It's just gravity over 4 quarters. I'm telling you right now, Josh Heupel and his staff, I think Josh is too smart for that, but that is a trap that coaches fall in. There are trap games for coaches, too. That's why when you see sometimes you're like, how is La Monroe at 7-7 with Alabama with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter? Well, Alabama's running day one install stuff from fall because they don't want to put anything else on tape and waste it. This is not one of those games that you can do that, in my opinion, because Kentucky will hang around and find out a way to sneak it out.
Well, and let's not forget, we're on the back 9, right?
Yep.
Pretty much every game we've seen Tennessee play, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of the offense is on tape. Now, every single week, are you going to have a wrinkle here, a wrinkle there? Yeah, you are. But I'll tell you, in the coaches' meetings that I have each and every week when we talk to coaches prior to our production meeting, nobody's trying to reinvent the wheel every week.
Yeah.
You are who you are. You do what you do. You work at doing that really, really well. It becomes your craft. And then you might have a wrinkle or two because you see something from a game plan approach that you think that might work because you haven't seen it from another opponent. But aside from that, you're not. Tennessee is Tennessee right now. We've seen what Tennessee is, and they're going to go out and play, and they're probably going to show what they showed 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. And you know what? 4 weeks from now, they're probably going to show you something that they showed this Saturday.
Yep. A lot of it's just about knowing what you're going against and using those wrinkles effectively.
You've said trapped a lot today. Are you okay?
Well, I think it's just my subconscious trying to get out.
The psyche thing,
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm just like Sigmund Freud right now.
You're doing great.
Thanks,
You are
man.
doing great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Beating my expectations.
Yeah.
Tom, Buckeyes go on the road to Penn State. Now, Nittany Lions had a nice bounce-back win over Minnesota after that loss to Michigan. That spread right now is 15.5. The Buckeyes have just been dog-walking everyone. What do you expect from Penn State at home this weekend?
I think they'll play well. I think the environment plays into their favor. Ohio State's schedule, and I like Ohio State as a football team. I really do. But their schedule, man, I mean, who have they really played that's any good? You know, who have they really just had to line up and battle against and wow, really sneak one out? Maybe that comes this Saturday. I look at it a little bit in the sense that Penn State isn't going to just line up and go tit for tat with Ohio State's offensive skill, because that's not how they're built. I think to some degree what we just talked about with Tennessee and Kentucky, Penn State's got to do. They've got to use the home crowd. They've got to use that fantastic trio of running backs. And then Sean Clifford has to be efficient. Doesn't have to be magnificent. I don't think he's a magnificent type of guy, all right? But if he's efficient, he's effective, then Penn State will just be fine, and I would fully expect them to be in this ball game probably deep into the fourth quarter. I could be way off base, but I think Penn State will play well here.
I'm leaning with Tom. I think it's. I mean, 16.5. What did it get up to?
15
It's at
15.5?
15.5.
That's
so
crazy
people are
to
buying
me.
money down. I mean, I don't. To me,
You think it should be? You think it should be closer, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, you're on the road. If you've ever been to that place, I don't care who you're
I have.
from. It's a tough place. Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
And it's a tough place to play. And I think that Penn State, hey, listen, Penn State got boat raced versus Michigan. Did not play well. Michigan played very, very well. Gnashed their teeth, got it together again the following week. Didn't let Michigan beat them twice. Took care of Minnesota. And now they probably got a lot more confidence back knowing they're getting this one at home.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, who would you have in your 14 playoff right now, Tom?
Boy, that is a really, really good question. I would have Georgia. I would have Ohio State. I would have Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where I'm having a difficult time at 4 and 5. Alabama's the better team in terms of talent. Michigan's playing better football. And I think I might have Michigan at 4. And when I say that, if you ask me, okay, Michigan and Alabama play next week, who's going to win? I would probably take Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm getting real concerned with Alabama down the stretch with their sloppiness. And I understand the schedule doesn't probably permit for somebody to jump up and bite them until if they were to get to the SEC championship game, but it's still troublesome. And when you're playing down the stretch and you're playing clean football, that's going to play a role when you're fatigued, you're tired, your depth is depleted. That happens to everybody at this point of the season. I have a real hard time with where I would place Michigan, Clemson, and Alabama.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about the performance of the other three.
No,
Well, good news is you're 1 and 3 are going to play each other next weekend, and you're 2 and 4 are going to play each other November 26th.
And Clemson's over there just hanging out.
Yeah.
And another thing too, guys, I don't think TCU, they're riding the lightning, and I have so much respect for what they've done, but they are an emotional roller coaster every week, and that conference top to bottom is so competitively balanced that I have a hard time seeing TCU come out of that thing undefeated. And here's another thing to look at too, and it's really started to come to the forefront of my mind when I had Texas, Oklahoma State. We're in that back portion of the season now. Where you have your bye week is a big deal.
Yes.
And Oklahoma State, as good a football as they're playing, they are so beat up and decimated by injuries. Guess when they had their bye? Week 3. So I just don't know if they can, weather this storm of attrition. And what I think is going to be very interesting in all of this, guys, and not to get too long-winded on you here, but let's just say Tennessee loses to Georgia. Georgia plays Alabama in the championship game. Alabama wins. 3 one-loss SEC teams. Ohio State and Michigan play. One of them have a loss. One of them's undefeated. All right, we have a 1-loss Big 12 champ and a 1-loss Pac-12 champ that happens to be Oregon. with a loss to the number 1 team or the number 3 team at that point if they lost in the SEC championship game in Georgia. This is the committee's worst nightmare, and I am loving every minute of it.
Oh yeah, and Tom, add in an undefeated Clemson in the ACC, which you would have to pencil in. You know as well as I do. You know as well as I do. If that happened, they'd put Alabama in, they'd put Georgia in, they'd put Clemson in, and they'd put either Ohio State or Michigan, whoever won that game and went on to win the Big
No
Ten.
question.
Those would be the 4 that would get in. I guarantee it. I promise you that would be the 4 that would get in.
I would agree.
How would if Oregon won their conference? How would they not get in?
Because it's 14 playoff.
Clemson
won
yeah,
that
but you'd have a Big 12 champ too. You'd have a one-loss Big 12 champ. They wouldn't get in either.
Yeah.
So conference championships don't matter.
Well, every year with 5 Power Fives, we have at least one.
Teams.
We have at least one every year who doesn't get in.
Yeah.
There's 5 conferences.
That isn't something new. When's the last time the Pac-12 was in the playoff?
Yeah.
You remember?
Washington, year 2 or 3.
Yeah. Speaking of Jake Locker.
All right, let's go to Travis Elrod. #Ask Tom. With the recruiting class that they had being so young, can Texas A&M turn it around next year?
Potentially, but it's not just about players. And by the way, actually, it was Oregon. I think 2015 that was the last Pac-12 team.
That's right.
First of all, their problems right now, I think, stem from approach, philosophy, and play caller on offense. They have talent on that roster. They have talented enough players, and particularly next year when you go through a 12-game schedule of having to play a lot of those true freshmen. I think they played 3 in the offensive line this past week. Evan Stewart's a true freshman. He's their only real threat on offense, and then the defensive front 7 is loaded with guys. But this wasn't the year that the hype was warranted. It's 23-24, but I think where people weren't seeing what happened with Texas A&M is they weren't seeing the offense absolutely crumble. Regardless of the freshmen, regardless of the talent, nobody foresaw this offense just being so abysmal that they can't overcome any of the other things that are happening to them. So they've got to correct who they are on offense. If they're going to hire a play caller, a coordinator, is Jimbo going to continue to go down this path? Is he going to continue to take the reins, be the head coach and the offensive coordinator, and just have a fledgling offense, which is basically what it is right now? Or do they go out and shift the approach? Because I think maybe some fresh meat, some fresh approaches, so different outlook, different perspective might be the healthiest thing for this thing, regardless of what other players they bring in.
Yeah, for Breeds Brothers, fresh start.
Yeah.
Well, it's always fresh when you come in here, Tom. Really appreciate it, buddy.
I have some facts here. Oregon made the first college football playoff in 2014.
Okay.
Washington made it in 2016.
That's right.
And then
where's Washington? I was
lost
right.
Alabama.
2016. And then prior to you getting here, we had a question if Alabama has made every college football playoff.
No.
They have not. In 2019, LSU beat them in Tuscaloosa.
That's right,
and LSU went undefeated.
That's exactly right. Good. You know what? That's what we have science and technology.
There we go.
That's a crack research crew right there.
It's a think tank in here too. It's a talk and
we had John Brinkus on the show.
Yeah, we had John Brinkus on the show, so it's real.
Hey Jake, why don't you reach up and grab that ring and rip that thing off the wall?
Yeah, hold on, I'm gonna flex bust out.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it on air.
What are you gonna be for Halloween?
Probably the other one.
50 Shades of Jake.
Yeah, 50 Shades of Jake. 50 Shades of Jake.
50 Shades of
on
Jake,
fire,
baby.
guys. Tom, what game you got this weekend?
Oh, I got a sneaky good one, guys. I got Illinois at Nebraska.
Chase
Brown.
Yes.
Chase Brown, downtown Chase Brown, baby.
And by the way, speaking of bye weeks, because those two teams played on week 0, they've had 2 bye weeks.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't think for 1 minute coaches and ADs aren't going to start going and saying, hey, listen, we want that week 0 window.
That's true.
Give us that week 0 window.
It's like, wait, we can go to Ireland, play a game, and get 2 bye weeks? Shit.
All right, well, then that begs the question, how many teams have to play on week 0 before we call it week 1?
What's the teetering point on that?
I mean, at some point, right?
That's a discussion for a later day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Tom, we always appreciate it, buddy. Good luck on the call this week, Illinois, Nebraska. Everybody check Tom out on social media as well.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great one.
All right, brother, you too. Okay. Cone, I know we got rapid fire, but I want to go to the Booster Club real quick.
Do it.
All right, a couple of donations here. Michael Hotchfelter, what's up, Mike? He says, what $1.99 donation. He says, what do you think is next for Ed Orgeron? Go Tigers.
I think where's the closest tiki bar in the beach, man? I think Ed's kicking it. I think Ed may do some appearances and not like ESPN. Like, they're not going to have him up there, like, or on Fox, like, crying next to Tom Rinaldi about some story that's sad in college football. I think he may do some funny, crazy type interviews. Probably make an appearance every now and then, just funny style. I don't think he's going to be a serious broadcaster. Look, I think he's hanging out and just tasting the gumbo.
All right, it's good.
Blindside sequel.
Yeah. The deaf side.
Max Johnson, $9.99 donation. Appreciate it, Max.
Thanks, Max.
Says, this reminds me of Mr. and Mrs. Smith when
good movie.
Angelina Jolie is a dominatrix to assassinate someone. David is Angelina Jolie, and Jake is the schmuck getting whipped and shot.
What?
Who's Brad Pitt?
Well, you know what, Max? No thank you now, man. No thank you. Why am I the schmuck? Oh, maybe I'm wearing a straight jacket.
You have a straight jacket.
Yeah,
I've been called a lot of things, but Angelina Jolie, that's an interesting.
We've got Elon Musk.
Who would have thought? Not me.
away.
Still, the person who said you look like the first attempt to draw Elon Musk, that was pretty funny.
That was funny.
That was pretty funny.
Someone also said I look like Beavis and Butthead. Combined.
That's messed up. Because you do.
Buttvis.
Because you do. So Bama is 128th of 132 Division I football teams in the penalties per game.
Who's the dummy
That
now?
is unheard of in the Saban era, and they only have one loss against the number 3 team in the nation.
You talk about having good players?
By 3.
How good is Bryce Young?
Yeah.
He's that good.
And they're not really creating turnovers, too,
No.
which is interesting. I mean, the one they got gifted from Tennessee there at the end of the game, Tennessee still comes back and wins.
Very true, very true. All right, let's get to rapid fire, Cunny.
Let's do it. Rapid fire. Here we go. All right. Russell Wilson says he's ready to play versus the Jags. I guess he was doing 4 hours of up downs or high knees on an 8-hour flight.
Look, I'm with Blaine on this one. He's just a lame.
He's lame.
You're just a lame.
He's so annoying.
You're the kid that says the teacher forgot to take up the homework. That's you. That's you. And not saying Russell Wilson's a bad player. Russell Wilson's done some great things, won the Super Bowl. He's had a hell of a career. But you can also have that and be super lame.
Like, it's one of those things like, he's the last guy I'd want to hang out with.
The last guy?
The last guy I'd want to hang out with.
Don't do
the
that
only reason
to
you're
Russell
nice to him because
Wilson.
he's on the team and he plays quarterback, but he's not hanging out with anybody from
I'll hang out with Russell Wilson.
No, you wouldn't.
We get milkshake.
David, you looked at me yesterday after you heard this. He's like, I'm starting not to be able to stand this guy.
But I'm not going to eat Subway with him.
No.
That's not what I'm not doing that.
Apparently nobody's eating Subway with him anymore.
It's just weird. At this point, it's just weird. Why are you doing this in the plane?
Why are you doing high knees in the plane? Like, if I'm a person on the other team, I'm getting to be like, dog, you know how stupid you look right now? Look, that's what it is. Look at the screen. Russell Wilson, it's the truth, man. It's the truth. Who's doing 4 hours of high knees on a plane? You know what? Terrorists, that's who. Like, if you're up there doing that, I'm worried the plane's going down. I'm worried something's up.
He also watched 2 hours of film, okay? All right.
Yeah, well, I don't even know if
all right, we talked about the Bears trading Robert Quinn to the Eagles. Boys, the Eagles are a problem.
They're all in.
They're
all in.
They got everything.
You hit gold. You struck gold, at least at this point, with Jalen Hurts. With the guys you got a receiver, it's a good situation. Even though Devontae Smith struggled a little bit, you're able to run the ball well enough, and Jalen adds that extra element. And then defensively, you put Alabama and Georgia together, and you just went and got Robert Quinn. I tell you what, boys, Philadelphia. And what's crazy? What's really crazy is that I'm sitting here thinking that the Cowboys,
jacket? Oh.
yeah, that the Cowboys division may be better than the AFC West.
That's crazy.
Like, just think about it.
Giants,
just really,
6-1.
really think about it. Giants. Cowboys, Eagles, and the Commanders are 2-4 now. Just beat the Packers. All right, I know Carson Wentz is out, and Heineke won his first game. But look at the AFC West. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs are dogs. We know that. But the Chargers, they're beat to hell. The Raiders, they've won 2 in a row, which makes them 2-4. Not exactly blowing it out of the water. So I think right now, you look at both those divisions. The AFC West is the worst out of those two.
Well, the Eagles remind you of what team from last year that won the Super Bowl? The Rams. What did the Rams do when got Odell Beckham?
Do they?
What did the Rams do? Go get Von Miller.
They remind me more of the Bucks when they won it with Tom Brady.
Now I say they remind me of a great offensive line. Rams had a phenomenal offensive line last year. What did the Eagles have? Phenomenal offensive line. The only thing that's really the difference is the Rams can't run the ball as well as the Eagles can. Mm-hmm. But you go pick up that extra guy.
And Matt Stafford couldn't run either.
For pass rushing, right? You go pick it. That's where you get in Robert Quinn. You get A.J. Brown in the offseason, kind of that Odell Beckham ad with Cooper Kupp. It's almost the Eagles are going all in on this, and it's going to come down to Jalen Hurts delivering the postseason. And if Jalen Hurts keeps fitting in the system as well as he is and keeps running the ball well, not turning the ball over, I don't think the Eagles have a turnover. Or one. They might have one turnover this season. I'm going to look it up. But this Eagles team is starting to look like that Rams team but a little bit better in my opinion. That won the Super Bowl. So
a little more balance.
A little more balance. We run the ball better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Zeke, knee sprain, uncertain to play. While you were talking about the Cowboys,
this is why you have Tony Pollard. This is why you got to have at least 2 good backs. We know in the NFL, you got to be smart with Zeke here. It's been going good. And look, the Bears, I know they're coming off a win against the Patriots. I know you have them on the schedule next, I believe. I think the Cowboys, are they off this week?
Let's check it out.
Because I know the Bears obviously played on Monday night, so no, they got the Bears. I'm right.
No, Bears go to the Cowboys.
Bears go to the Cowboys this weekend. That's exactly right. I know it's playing against the Bears. I know you want to be careful, which you should with Zeke. It's a game that you should win at home. I don't see them turning the ball over the way the Patriots did to let the Bears extend that lead. The Bears really didn't extend that lead by playing great offensively. They played great defensively that led to scores. So I think you got to be careful with Zeke, but this is where Tony Pollard can really turn up for you.
Talking about Philadelphia, boys, we're going to be breaking down the World Series tomorrow. Looks like Philly's going to start Aaron Nola game 1, Zach Wheeler game 2.
Aaron Nola versus Justin Verlander, that's some must-see
Let's
TV.
go.
And look, Wheeler's, in my opinion, probably pitching better than Nola is right now. But Nola's been your guy. You stuck with Nola when it wasn't going good. The guy literally has control of every pitch. The biggest question for Nola is how much run is he going to get on that fastball? We know that the off-speed is good. We know his spin rate's really good. But is he going to get moving on that fastball? Because last time he came out, that fastball was a little bit flat. And after about 3-4 innings, you saw the Padres really start to get a tick on it, and they were bashing him all over the yard. So he tried to mix it up, start pitching backwards. Well, when you adjust, they adjust. Aaron Nola's got to be able to put the fastball in the places he wants with a little bit of movement.
Well, yeah, I agree with this. Before I forget, this is day 4 of me coming out and waiting on the apologize from the Yankees Twitter. If you do have a Twitter and are watching the show, please tweet at them to apologize because the propaganda that was going around, the cut clips, is just unacceptable.
It was.
In my opinion, it's a cowardly move, and I'm still waiting on it. Yeah. I'll be here every day consistently.
Look, we'll say it. They see an injury.
Matt Ryan says that he was surprised by his benching. Will this be his last year as an NFL
Well,
quarterback?
that makes one person. Like, if I'm Sam Ehlinger, I don't think he's taking a snap in a regular season game in the NFL, and you got benched. You're throwing it to the other team too much, man. Why did they bring you over to the Colts? Well, why did they bring you over to the Colts? You had great experience. You didn't put the ball in harm's way a ton. They felt like the pieces around you with a good running game. Matt Ryan is a good play-action passer. I know Jonathan Taylor's been hurt, and the offensive line has underperformed, and it's not all on Matt Ryan. I know that Michael Pittman Jr. is really your only weapon. Look, we like Paris Campbell, but we know Paris Campbell's not an elite wide receiver. He went off last game, but you can't hope that happens every weekend. It's just not. They had to make this change, I think, to mix it up a little bit because the Colts have been one of the most disappointing teams, not only in just the NFL, but football in general. I'm not surprised that Matt Ryan got benched. I'm surprised that Matt Ryan's surprised he got benched. So
that's it for Rapid Fire, but
all right.
I do have a Thursday trivia.
Ooh, let's do that.
I want a Thursday trivia. All right, so here's what we're going to do. You get 2 minutes.
Let's do it.
2 minutes to answer this question here, all right? But you only get 3 wrong answers, or I'm going to buzz you. All right, so you got to give me when you have a final
answer. So you buzz
answer,
us and it's over.
If you get
3 times,
you get 3 times, you get
so
3
start
wrong answers. All right,
you don't start, but you have
so you talk amongst yourselves on your choices here. What I want to know: there are 6 Major League Baseball teams that have never won the World Series. Name those 6 teams starting now.
Padres,
check.
Marlins,
No.
Okay. Oakland A's.
Nope.
What?
All right, well, here we
you
go.
really got it.
Texas Rangers.
Rangers, check. You got 2 of them.
Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Rays, check. You got 3 of them. Man, you're just throwing it.
I'm scared.
No,
I'm scared to say anything now.
3 more. Never won a World Series.
Never won a World Series. Never
the Blue Jays?
won a World Series. No, don't say that. They hit a walk-off grand
What
slam.
about Royals?
Huh?
Royals.
Pat Borders, our boy Pat Borders for the Blue Jays.
They won a
World Series MVP.
The Royals won?
Yes, the Royals won. They won like 6 years ago. Orioles.
Is that your final answer?
No.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
So you've gotten Rangers,
Let me
Padres,
dial it in here.
and Rays, but there's 3 more.
It's obviously not the Reds.
That's 1 win.
You're at 1 minute.
1 minute? That's fine. We're good.
Yeah, that's
Plenty
fine.
of time. I'm just going to let it just lead out. Obviously, the Astros. The White Sox won it. We know that. The Cubs won it. We know that. Are these all current teams?
Mm-hmm.
Really? So said Padres. We know the Dodgers have won it.
Think about a team from the 90s had all the star players, won a bunch of games.
Seattle Mariners.
Over the hump. There you go, Mariners.
Mariners. How many do we got left?
You got 2 more.
How much time's left?
30 seconds.
Now, could I say the Guardians?
No.
Because technically they haven't been the Guardians.
What about the Rockies?
Rockies, check.
That's exactly right.
1 more, boys, and you've got 15 seconds.
I can't use my hand.
All right. Can't get another wrong answer.
This just feels right to me. They have the
7.
slide.
5.
Brewers.
Yes! Nice. Let's go.
Let's go. Hold on. Good job. Good job, man.
Yeah.
Good job. Thursday trivia, can't touch it.
Come on.
If you want to watch the rest of this, we're going to go over some spreads for this weekend, go to the Booster Club and have a lot of fun. Head over to Daily Wire Plus. Become a member. Listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe and leave a 5-star review and share it with your friends and tell them, please help me. Be right back. What's up? I'm over here now.
Oh, look at this guy. Man.
All right. Appreciate you guys. We want to go ahead and go over the Booster Club leaderboard real quick. Look, Midnight Crane to George is 6-0. Portman Towit's 4-0. JT Bryan's 3-0. Cones High Waters is 2-0. Tyson's Right Hook, Revco, Kyle, and the Red Aaron are all 1-0. Hey, remember, when I put the booster bets thing, we got the Google form now. So just go fill it out in the Google form. Put your streak in there. We're going to be able to track everything. It's basically a track meeting here, Cone. All right, you want to go over some spreads and some big games and just kind of talk about it a little bit?
3 college football matchups here. We got Virginia Tech at North Carolina State. That spread is minus 13.5 right now, just under the 2-touchdown hook.
What's the over-under on this?
39.
Ugh. That shows you no Devin Leary for NC State. Everybody's playing for Virginia Tech, so they're not going to be able to score. Grant Wells has let me down more than, a lot of people that I thought
that Wells run dry.
Count on. That Wells run dry today. Look at you. They granted him no wishes. Yeah, look at me.
Look at you.
Look at replacement code.
Oh, man.
To be honest with you, I would not bet on this game. I would not bet on this game. If I was going to bet something, if I was going to bet something on this game, as crazy as it sounds, I'd take the under. I'll take the under. Like, this legitimately, you said it's 39?
Yeah.
This smells like a 20-10 game. Like, because, look, we've seen NC State, backup quarterback came in, didn't look great, obviously, against Syracuse. That was a tough game on the road, but I do think they'll be able to put some points up with him. The Chambers was pretty good when he came in the first game. This one's at home against a Virginia Tech team that is just offensively, defensively, and in basically every way challenged.
2-5. I just think this game's going to be a lot closer than 13.5. If anything, we'll take Virginia Tech 7.5. Buy that alternate down to 7.5 if you can get that.
For the half?
For the game.
I thought it was at 13.5.
It is. I'm saying get him.
Go buy him down. You buy him down big money. You're going plus big money on this.
If you have a little something extra, maybe under the mattress.
Virginia
maybe you're safe for a rainy day. I mean, plus 500 on the money line.
For Virginia Tech?
I don't think that'd be a bad sprinkle. Backup quarterback. Grant Wells has one of those games
Virginia
where it's
Tech's
just like when Will Ferrell was up on the podium and blacked out for like 45 seconds. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Virginia Tech without Devin Leary might sneak up and win this game.
All right. Utah at Washington State. That's a minus full 7 for Utah with the over-under at 55.
Here is the thing, all right? Washington State's defense is pretty good. Like, they've been one of the teams that kept USC from just blowing the doors off it. Offensively, they struggle. Why? They struggle to run the ball. So if they're struggling to run the ball, they got to try and do what? Throw it. I like the incarnate word transfer at quarterback. I think he's a decent player. But guess where Utah's pretty good? Defending the pass. So if you can't run it and you're playing a team that can really defend the pass, mixed with a Utah team that has Cam Rising on offense, that does have some weapons, going against a Washington State defense that is pretty good, to me, Cone, the over-under is at 55.5, you said? Give me the under.
Really? Give me the
Washington State's not very good on offense.
Give me the over, buy it up to 60. I think it's a point.
It's Pac-12 after dark.
60?
Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah,
That's
look,
the
I
only
think
line.
Cameron Ward's a really good football player, the quarterback for Washington State. And I've watched this Washington State. It's nothing like catching that Pac-12 game late at night. I'm up. I don't like to watch it. I think this Washington State team's good. You're obviously going to get a lot of points with Utah. Neither of these defenses really excite me or really good at stopping anything. So, I mean, you look at kind of the matchups, 44-41 against Oregon. And you can kind of put that same defense. Oregon's defense is statistically better than Utah's. And so I think Washington State will put up points in this game.
Well, give Washington State the rest of their scores, though.
Okay, they lost 30-21 against USC.
They lost.
They lost. So it was on the
against
road.
a bad USC defense.
38-7 against Colorado State.
Well, Colorado State's got a bunch of children running around there.
I mean, that is true. 24-17 against Oregon State.
They lost.
Yeah, but both those games are on the road, so this game's at home. They score a lot more points at home.
All right, last one. Louisiana Lafayette at the alma mater of Brett Favre and Diana Cone, Southern Mississippi.
Will Hall, man, at Southern Miss, they're kind of doing their thing a little bit. Remember last year, guys, they didn't even have a quarterback. They had two quarterbacks. They both got hurt. They ran Wildcat for like 50% of the year. Southern Miss, back on their bully. Love that they're in the Sun Belt. I know Louisiana's actually getting their starter at the beginning of the year back, but he's not going to play. They are getting their starting running back tonight. But guys, you know what? You just don't go into Hattiesburg, Mississippi on a Thursday night and roll your helmet out and win. Give me the Golden Eagles to the top, Cone.
Plus 100 on the money line.
Yeah, give me that at home. Give me the Golden Eagles straight up.
Nice.
Straight jacket. Here's what we got. Here's my bets for tonight, though. Here's what I'm taking. Give me Baltimore money line. I know Tom Brady hasn't lost 3 games since 2002. Well, guess what? Trends and records are meant to be broken. You throw that football at me.
I'm getting the football, dude. Calm down. It's not all that.
And then, so that's going off at plus 100. Just do it. Just do it, David. Just do it. All right. Then my second bet. Kind of surprised the odds are this high on this.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Evans last week embarrassed. Dropped a touchdown pass.
Embarrassed.
Hadn't been in the end zone in a couple games. Tom's mad. Well, I tell you what, when it comes to him and Fetterman, at least one Giselle's worried about her husband getting brain damage. Mike Evans, anytime touchdown. Mark Andrews, I know he's a little beat up. Hadn't scored a touchdown in a couple games. Watch out, I think these two guys are coming. So give me 2 anytime touchdowns, Mike Evans, Aaron Andrews. Mark Andrews at plus 425, guys.
Look, I had Utah and NC State winning their respective conferences. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, but I'm going to ride with them tonight. Utah minus 4.5 at minus 150.
Okay.
But then I'm going to buy NC State down to minus 9.5, get under that touchdown plus a field goal range at minus 175.
Love it. All right. I'm going first drive today and the Bucs-Ravens game to be a field goal.
You hit that other first drive the other night.
They punted?
As well as a punt with the Bears. And
I mean, yeah, but he still hit it.
It was minus 110, definitely not plus 430. But let's get down there. You know, it feels like a sack on third down. Let's go ahead and get Justin Tucker from the midfield to kick like a 90-yard field goal. Then give me the over, a little parlay here for you, fellas. A little over 45.5. Baltimore plus 4.5. And Leonard Fournette, anytime touchdown. Plus 415. Missed both my hockey bets yesterday, like I said I would.
Yeah.
Which was great.
You're a man of your word.
I'm a man of my word, obviously.
So you're saying that over 45.5, obviously, for the Ravens game?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice little parlay.
What is Ace got?
Oh, you already said yours. I'm losing my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Baby Cone, he's bet buds with your boy. With straight jacket Sammy right here. He's going to take Baltimore money line plus 100. Then he's taking the Ravens over, or the Ravens Bucks over 45.5 at minus 117. 2 defenses that are beat up. The young one sees something. And you know what? He's been hot lately. That's been a pretty good month. You've gotten hot here lately. 45 and 39. All right, Blaine, as we wrap up here, like me.
Should Jake wear this every week?
No.
Yes
I don't care what
or
the
no.
I'm sure yes, 95%.
I think they said no.
They said yes, 67.
That's exactly right.
Which is not bad. I thought it'd be worse than that. Thanks, guys. Justin Decker says next bet loser has to wear the straight jacket and run a route with Cone trying to hit you with a pass.
Why do you got to keep adding on?
It's just cones.
You gotta catch that. You gotta catch those, man.
Boy, y'all better smell y'all's food and drinks.
I am getting hit with a pie, hopefully this week.
Yeah. Oh,
If not this week, it's not happening.
No, what?
Yeah. That's
No,
how
you don't
fantasy
make
works.
Whoa.
That's how fantasy works.
You don't make the
That's how
rules.
fantasy
You
works.
don't make the rules,
That's how fantasy
Stalin.
works. It's the next week.
Yeah, you don't
or
make
it
the
doesn't-
rules.
Or it's void.
Oh, okay.
You know,
All right.
it's void.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
you're right.
You know,
I know.
Yeah,
I
you'll
know.
never,
What do you
we'll
mean?
never
No.
hit you with a pie in
No.
your face.
Not on the show. You won't. What, are you gonna hide a pie from me?
Bro.
There's no hiding
Do you
pies.
see your brother right now?
I do.
Oh,
We
it'll
go to lengths.
Hey, guess
We
what?
will go to
You're about to
extremes.
live the life of pie if it goes down like that.
50
So
Shades of Jake. It's
yeah.
amazing. It's
Oh,
coming
yeah.
out on
It's gonna be
Netflix.
50 flavors of pie hitting in your face.
It's coming out on Netflix. 50 Shades. Adam, more like Adam and Steve. Let's go to Emmanuel.
Now I understand. You know how you like watch documentaries? Like, man, how did that family member poison that other one? Like, what happened? Like, I'm sorry.
You're not poisoning anybody in that.
Oh well, I actually.
How you gonna?
Yeah.
How you gonna get out of that?
Here, you can
Huh?
You rocked it the whole episode. You look super comfortable in that, which is worrisome to me.
I caught it.
Which is
I caught
worrisome to me.
I caught it.
This
Hold
doesn't
on,
look like your first rodeo.
Hold on. Let's see if I can catch that for you. Hold on, Blaine. Blaine, hold on. Just get ready. Just get ready. Hold on. No,
You want me
I'm
to
going
throw
to kick
you?
it to you. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Let's go, dude.
Wow.
Anyways.
Oh,
all right.
man.
Good stuff.
Fun
Thank you,
show.
Booster Club. Make sure you're subbed
This is gonna be
on
can't
YouTube.
wait
I can
just to
only
break
imagine.
this
I can
out,
feel
dude.
Twitter.
The memes, Blaine's mustache. Blaine's
Thank you guys
mustache.
for joining us.
I need you to go ham.
I'm going to get out of this. I am sweating under this straitjacket. Like
I haven't turned the air conditioning off in here.
Yeah.
You
You
had him turn the air conditioner.
That's the breaking point. That's the breaking point. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you follow us on all social media. Enjoy your football watching tonight. And just like this straitjacket, the minute this camera turns off, we're gone.